Hi, I'm David Baerwald, author of The Fire Agent, and I'm happy to be on my Toronto mic debut.
What up, Mike? Toronto. VK on the beat. Check. I'm in Toronto where you wanna get the city love. I'm from Toronto where you wanna get the city love. I'm in Toronto like we wanna get the city love. My city love me back for my city love. I'm in Toronto.
Welcome to episode 1907 of Toronto Mic'd, an award-winning podcast, proudly brought to you by Great Lakes Brewery. Order online at greatlakesbeer.com for free local home delivery in the GTA. Palma Pasta. Enjoy the taste of fresh, homemade Italian pasta and entrees from Palma Pasta in Mississauga and Oakville. Visit palmapasta.com for more. Toronto Maple Leafs baseball. Catch a game at Christie Pitts this summer. No ticket required. Fusion Corp's own Nick Ienes. He's the host of Building Toronto's Skyline. And Mike and Nick, two podcasts that you ought to listen to. RecycleMyElectronics.ca. Committing to our planet's future means properly recycling our electronics of the past. And Ridley Funeral Home. Pillars of the community since 1921. Joining me today, making his Toronto Mic debut, it is in fact David Baerwald. Welcome, David.
Well, thank you, and happy to be here.
No, it's happy to meet you. I noticed you're identifying as a novelist now. Is that the preferred descriptor for David Baerwald now?
If you have to choose, yeah.
You have to choose. No, what I'm excited to uncover with you is sort of the pivot, like legendary singer, songwriter turned novelist. That's you're good at too many things, David. I think you got to pick a lane and stay in it. How dare you be great at two different disciplines?
Yeah, I get a lot of flack for that.
Well, I'm upset over here. Okay, so I'm glad you're here, but if you don't mind, maybe I can start bugging you about some music stuff, and then of course we'll turn the page, pun intended, and we're going to talk about The Fire Agent, your first novel, which is available now, right, David?
It'll be available starting on Tuesday, I believe.
Tuesday. Okay, so that it all comes back to Sheryl Crow. It'll be available Tuesday Night Music Club. Okay.
Yeah.
Can I play a song, and then you can sort of help us get there, and then we can build from there? How does that sound?
Sure.
Okay, you're not allowed to say no. You got to say yes to everything. So,
okay,
just a little bit of a song, not the whole thing.
All right. Oh. Okay.
Name that tune, David.
This would be "Welcome to the Boomtown" by the very handsome band David+David.
David Squared. That was rejected, that name. You went with David+David.
You know, I don't remember exactly how that happened. It was a stupid name, though. I regret it now.
Well, let's hear a bit of it. Then I have questions.
Miss Christina drives a 944. Satisfaction oozes from her pores. She keeps rings on her fingers, marble on her floor. Cocaine in her dresses, bars on her door. She keeps her back against the wall. She keeps her back against the wall. So I say, welcome to the Boomtown. Pick a habit, we got plenty to go around. Welcome to the Boomtown. All that money makes such a succulent sound. Welcome to the Boomtown.
Top 40 Billboard hit, David.
Yeah, man.
All right, how the hell did we get here? Maybe give us a little like did you always want to be a musician? How do you end up with David and David? How important is it to you that we stylize it as David plus symbol David?
That's a lot of questions there, Mike.
Take your time, David, please. It's a Friday afternoon. Take your time.
So did I always want to be a musician professionally? No, it never occurred to me that one could even do that. It just sort of happened. You know, I was working through some issues, and my friend David Ricketts he'd gotten a Portastudio Tascam 244 and a Juno 60 and an MXR drum machine and a DX7, Yamaha DX7, and an SM57 microphone and a Boss compressor and delay. That was our rig, and we just started writing these tunes, and you know, a very strange thing happened, and it led to the demo ending up on an A&R desk at A&M Records. And a guy picked it up and listened to it and was like, wow, this sounds like a record. We should sign these guys. And they did, you know, and you know, we were completely unprepared for the aftermath of that.
And David, a one and done, right? Boomtown.
Yeah. We sort of stuck our toe in the water and said, you know, this is a bit chilly for me. Or maybe it's too hot. I can't tell.
Well, which one is it, David? What I find interesting is the producer of this album, also a David.
David, yeah.
Oh, okay, but we'll spell the same way.
It's spelled Davitt. David.
Okay, you know what? I think I got some bad intel there. I was going to say it was a David's only enterprise.
I think that sounds like an elevator pitch, really. But
well, how surprised were you when radio started playing? You know, Welcome to the Boomtown.
Extremely. I had absolutely no idea. In fact, I think the greatest first time you have that thing happen. It was almost comical. It was like out of Miami Vice. So LA is divided by this mountain range, the Mulholland Ridge, and I was driving from the valley side in my absolute piece of junk, like 1971 Maverick is what it was. And I'm going over the hill, and just as I'm about to crest over the hill and descend into Hollywood, that guitar comes on. And I was just like, holy, nobody told me they were going to play it on the radio. It just happened that I was listening to the radio at the time.
What station?
I think it was on K-Rock.
Yeah, that'll make sense. Yeah.
And there's like a little sort of reservoir thing with a little pull out, and I just pulled over, and I was just like, holy cow, you know. I couldn't call anybody because it was pre-cell phones, you know.
Right. We're talking like 86, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm thinking that's like the opening scene maybe of the biopic, the David and David biopic.
Yeah, that would be a fascinating thing.
Who's it? Neil Young had this song. I referenced it twice now. Piece of Crap. It was a song about his shitty car. I used to drive a few different shit boxes back in the day, but okay. So Boomtown. But here's my question for you: I know you won't have an answer to this, but how often does an act like David and David have a top 40 hit and then say, let's not do a sophomore album, let's not have a follow-up?
I think it happens a lot.
Does it?
I don't know.
I need do some work for me. I need to find out. I bet you that's not common to get a top 40 hit and say.
Well, people were very surprised. You know, well, you know, we'd had a lot of really strange experiences. You know, I was not the guy you want fronting a band. Really, I'm really not that guy.
You're not John Bon Jovi.
I don't want that kind of. I can't deal with it. You know. There's this film clip. Well, okay, so I had this. So we did this bizarre promo tour of Europe with this huge traveling caravan, and you know they're like the Pretenders and Smokey Robinson. I mean, there was like 30, 40 acts, UB40,
yeah,
the Blow Monkeys, and you know these were these traveling package things where you get up and you lip sync 2 songs, and everybody goes crazy and tries to tear your clothes off, and this goes on night after night after night, and you're lip syncing, and you feel like a fool. And every night there's this new group of male models pretending to be musicians dancing around behind you. And you're like, what the hell is all this? And by the time we got to southern Italy, I was just claustrophobic and dying really of I was just sick of everybody on this thing. You know, we would go into this cafe underneath this, you know, the venue or whatever. There was actually this one night there was like a bar cafe underneath the stage, and I was looking around the room, and you know, just all these pop stars and me, and we were all just like, we've all got our egos on full display, and I was just like, God, we should all just be shot right now. And we're just despicable.
Like, did you have imposter syndrome? Like a little bit, maybe?
You know, maybe that's what it was, or maybe it's just, you know, there's this fever of ego and greed that surrounds a lot of these things, and you know, and it and also just the psychosis of it, you know. So finally we get to the south of Italy, and by this time I'm just ready to jump out of my skin. And we're right on the Italian Mediterranean, you know. There's all these like sailboats bobbing. I can see them out of my hotel window, and I'm just like trapped in this place. And, you know, thousands of teenagers would surround the hotel knowing that all these people are in there, and they're pounding on the walls of this place. And, you know, and the tension inside, it was like, you know, it was just awful. And so I went to the tour manager and I said, listen, I've just got to get out of here for a while. And he said, oh, no good, very dangerous. And I said, really, seriously, what kind of, you know, nobody knows who I am. You know, this was our first thing. He said, oh, no, very dangerous. And I said, listen, you know, I'll sign whatever you want me to sign, but I'm getting out of here, and I'm going to go down to that dockside, and I'm going to find a rowboat, and I'm going to row around in the little harbor because I'm dying, you know. And he says, okay, fine. I sign all this stuff, and he gets me out the trash exit of the hotel, and I'm like a free man, you know. For the first, I feel like, oh my God, I feel like I've just been let out of Attica, you know. And so I'm like, oh, I'm walking down the thing. I can feel the breeze on my arms, you know. I'm walking towards this dock, you know, and I've learned a phrase, you are the most beautiful woman in the world, in Italian. You're the most beautiful woman in the world. Will you ride with me in a rowboat? So I learned how to say that in Italian. I was planning on finding somebody to say it to. But the streets were empty, and everything was closed up. Like the whole town was just like, all these teenagers are coming. We better close up everything.
Right.
Like the Vandals are coming, or the Vikings. And so I'm walking down, and I'm walking down towards this dock, and you know, some people spot me, and I'm clearly not like an Italian teenager, you know. They don't know who I am, but I'm not one of them, you know. So they start following me, and I start walking a little faster, and, you know, ultimately it ends up in this kind of Beatlemania thing, even though they had no idea who I was. I was just, you know, I was running, and they were chasing, and the more I ran, the more people were chasing me, the more people chased them. So it became this, like, terrifying, you know, sprint down this kind of boardwalk.
This is going in the biopic, by the way.
going down this boardwalk, and all the stores are shut. You know, they're with storm doors. You know, they're shut against like a hurricane. And I'm running out of breath. You know, I'm not I don't have the wind of these 15-year-olds. You know, and so I find a phone booth. And I'm like, okay, I'll get in the phone booth. I'll call the thing. I can't figure out how to open the fucking door, so I'm like shaking this, rattling this door, and these kids come at me, and they start clawing at me. And one of the kids, I had an earring, and he grabbed at my face, and he pulled the earring out, you know, through my earlobe. So blood starts spewing all over the place. Terrible pain suddenly, and without even thinking, I just batted him across the face. He went flying, and then I became, you know, this enemy, you know, and so now there's like 2,000 Italian teenagers that want to kill me, and so I finally figure out a way of getting myself into the phone booth. By this time, my shirt's ripped to shreds, and I'm, you know, my face is all clawed up, and and I'm in this phone booth, and they start shaking it, and they just push it over. So I'm lying on my back, and I'm trying to talk into this phone, and I knew how to say cantante americano, American singer. So I dialed 0 and I said SOS Dominican Cantante Cantante Americano SOS, you know, and then the phone goes dead and I'm just like, oh fuck, they're gonna kill me. So
This is an amazing. Can I just step in and say what an amazing story?
So this armored car pulls up, and you know the kids clear out, and these Italian soldiers just kind of grab me out of this thing, and we're sitting in the back of this car, and I'm just, you know, I'm not severely injured or
no,
anything.
but your earlobe was ripped.
I'm bleeding, you know, I've got all kinds of scratches on my face. My shirt is completely torn off, and I'm just sitting there, and these, you know, everybody in Italy has to serve a little time in the military, and so these were basically just kids themselves, you know, and they're just sitting there, and finally one of them starts laughing, and then the whole armored car starts laughing, and I'm laughing. They just dump me off in front of the hotel, and I you know, I go in, and all the people who had been saying, oh, you really shouldn't go out there, you know, I go into the thing and I look like I've been, you know, dumped out of a truck, and
they show you the waiver you signed or whatever. And say,
Exactly.
You cannot sue us, Mr. Baerwald.
Yeah, but everybody was laughing at the Georgia satellites were laughing at me.
It's funny because I don't know if you've ever read your Wikipedia page. Have you ever popped in, or no curiosity?
Yeah, sure. I mean,
Okay, because there's a line on here. It's in your wiki today. It says about David and David. The duo split up following the success of that album for unexplained reasons. It just sits there, this sentence. And I figured, okay, I got David in the basement. He's going to get comfortable. Explain the damn reasons, okay? We'll get Rosie and Gray T.O. to update Wikipedia. But there must have been a reason why David and David splits up following an album that has a top 40 hit on it.
you know, I don't know. I mean, well, you know, I'll tell you the
Confess to me.
truth. The unexplained reason, really, Dave hated my freaking guts.
Okay, but David, that explains everything.
Yeah, he hated my guts. He hated me.
See, that's that explains it, right? I feel like that's everything. You know, a duo. Although I know Hall and Oates are on the outs right now, so, and I know Simon and Garfunkel had issues. But if David hates your fucking guts, you guys got to break up.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, the funny thing is that, you know, I you know, we get along fine now. It's just there was just something about him that it was like a red flag to a bull. I just drove him crazy.
You're not his cup of tea.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
I guess I had to live with that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you went on to do some amazing things, right? So, again, I do want to get to the novel, so I promise I'm not going to take the whole hour, but you go solo, basically. It's like, so David and David just becomes David Baerwald, and you put out solo material.
Right, which I never really wanted to do, to be honest.
So what did you want to do?
I wanted to be in a band. I really wanted to keep on making records with Ricketts. I thought that was a good. Well, you know, it was a little bit self-serving on my part because in that duo, you know, David really did all the work. You know, I would just show up and play a blues guitar solo and sing, you know, and he was doing all the drum programming and like actually crafting.
But I would argue
tracks.
that's a significant contribution.
Yeah, it just doesn't take very long, you know. And so he would work on a track for like 4 days, and I'd show up and I'd be done in half an hour, and everybody was like, "Oh, isn't Dave Baerwald? You know, isn't he what? You know, because I was the singer, you know. People always were more interested in the singer for some reason.
Always.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, I mean, you could be Keith Richards and they don't want to talk to you, you know.
Yeah. This is why Eddie Van Halen named the band after himself.
Oh, that's probably a good idea.
That's the move you could do. I feel Manfred Mann too, right? There are bands out there where it's like, I'm not the lead singer, but damn it, it's my band. We're naming it this. Okay, so I want to let the people just hear a little bit about what does David sound like without David. That sounds confusing, but I mean,
for God's sake,
just
are you really going to do this?
Just a little bit.
Jesus.
Well, don't storm out, okay? Nobody's stormed out yet.
You want to
so,
look at my baby pictures?
Well, this is not quite that. Okay, just a little bit here, and then we're gonna a few more highlights.
Oh
and then
no!
Just how about like? Can you give me 20 seconds?
What?
You'll let me know if he's going to storm out, okay? Because I haven't lost one yet.
I'm
not
going to
losing
storm
this guy.
out, but I was like, oh,
She'll hit your head if you storm out. Is it painful to hear this?
Yeah.
Okay, 'cause I don't want to make you feel pain.
Well, this particular record has a lot of bad memories.
Oh, no, you know what? I don't want to hurt your. I don't want to. I'll
thank
take
you.
it down. We don't
I
have to play it.
appreciate
That was
that.
dance. I don't have to play it, and I won't. I won't
that
play
whole
any more of your
record,
solo
I
stuff.
can't. I just can't.
Well, can you maybe elaborate a little bit about why it's so painful for you to hear songs from your album Bedtime Stories?
I just don't like it very much, and I had a terrible time making it, and it was a silly thing to do.
Because you wanted to be in a band?
You know,
You're not a solo guy, and here you are. You're like Bruce Springsteen now, or whatever. You're, you know.
I'm not like Bruce Springsteen. He's, I'm really not.
How about James Taylor?
No. I'm not I'm not cut out for that job. Period.
So you're a behind the scenes guy.
Much preferred that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I get it because, all eyes on you. This is the MTV generation and everything. So it's like, you're right. We do focus on the lead singer. We need the front person. And that's not you.
Yeah, it's exhausting. The trouble with that line of work is you have to, I think you have to be nuts. I think really you have to be crazy. It's
or a narcissist.
Which is the same thing,
Yeah.
It's just, that was the joke about David+David, really, is that, Baerwald is paranoid and Ricketts is agoraphobic. So, yeah, of course they should start a band.
Yeah, opposites attract. Okay, so let's there's solo material we will not play on this show because I don't like to make my guests feel uncomfortable.
Well, I just, it's like, I kind of done all that. I understand it, and I appreciate your interest.
Well, we've never met. Like, I'm curious, especially because now we'll talk about, if you don't mind, I know you probably know this is coming, but could you tell us about your professional relationship with Sheryl Crow?
I think she's a fine performer, an entertainer, and great humanitarian, and I think nothing of the world, and I hope that she's very happy.
Okay, but maybe share a little bit. How about this? Share a little bit about Tuesday Music Club, because you're one of the. I guess we're in the early '90s here, but you're one of the people who sort of co-found
the
Tuesday Music Club.
Not sort of, yeah. Bill Bottrell and I, we'd made this record Triage together. And in the course of doing that, we'd assembled this little ensemble. Myself, Brian McLeod, Bill, and Kevin Gilbert, who was a brilliant multi-instrumentalist. And, over the course of making Triage, we just were like, we're having a really good time playing together. We should continue. And Bill had this studio because he was mixing. He was a very top level audio mixer, and he was mixing like Roger Waters and Madonna, I think, at the time.
Wow!
But a mix room isn't busy 24 hours a day, and so we were like, well, let's get together one day a week and just have fun, and just play music, and just see what happens. And so we started doing that, and it was really fun. And we were and everything we did had a kind of shambolic originality and kind of beauty about it, just because it was so it was like a release from everything else. And Kevin's girlfriend was Sheryl, and she'd made sort of a disastrous record with Hugh Padgham for A&M, and apparently wasn't satisfactory, and so they were planning on dropping her, and Kevin was like, "Can we help her out, or maybe, I don't know, do something?" And we were like, why not? And so she came down, and after a bit of searching, we started making that album.
And that album is Tuesday Night Music Club, named after the Tuesday Music Club.
That's correct.
We added a little night in there.
Well, it was a Tuesday Night Music Club. Yeah.
Okay, so that's fascinating because that's a monster album. Like, I'm going to play a little, if you don't mind. I feel like...
Oh, that's fine, yeah. My professional work, I don't mind you playing. It's just these silly records that, Anyway.
Yeah, you learned you're better to be behind the scenes, crafting the art, and let someone else go up front. Let Sheryl go up front and sing the songs.
Exactly.
Right? Okay, so let's play a little bit.
I have a face made for radio.
I think you're a handsome guy. Ed Harris vibes you get? Yeah, absolutely. I'm talking to Scott over here, who had a ticket to my Elmo show but was under the weather. Couldn't make it. It happens.
Life springs eternal on a garden neon street. Not that I care at all. I spent the best part of my losing streak in an army jeep for what I can't recall.
right, not to bury the lead, but you're a co-writer of this monster jam.
Yes, sir.
Amazing. Okay, that's a bigger hit than Welcome to Boomtown.
Oh, really?
Shout out! You know what? You're lucky. You're actually, David. You're actually quite lucky because the listenership wanted me to spend 60 minutes asking you about Andrew Cash's Boomtown, and I'll bet you don't even know Andrew Cash's Boomtown. No, that's okay. That's a Toronto thing. Okay, so we'll leave that at the hook.
Is that a place?
Well, it's an album, a popular album from the late '80s, so it's a few years after yours. It's called Boomtown, and the single and the album's called Boomtown. And Andrew Cash was in a band called L'Étranger with Charlie Angus, who was my guest on last Friday. He was Charlie Angus. Shout out to.
Well, tell him to pass the word along to this Cash fella that I'm coming for him.
You know what? Done. He's probably watching the live stream. So Alan wrote in when you were coming in, and this is. I feel like we're not going to play any music from this, okay, David? But I'm going to ask you the question. Susanna Hoffs. This is the question from Alan. Susanna Hoffs said that she and David once sang "Love Potion Number 9" with Joni Mitchell. Can he tell us about that? Does this ring a bell? How would you ever forget singing "Love Potion Number 9" with Susanna Hoffs and Joni Mitchell?
Actually, I do remember that. Yeah, it wasn't just. It was also Greg Leese and there was Jim Keltner, a whole lot of folks. Yeah, we were making a kind of a record, for Sue. It was another kind of experimental band thing. In this case, it was Jim Keltner, myself. I can't remember who was playing bass. But yeah, we just kind of got David Catay. We got a group of people together and moved into this house and just kind of started writing songs Laurel Canyon style, and cutting them on the spot. And, Joni would come by, and she came by a bunch of times.
Well, you're in Canada, David. This is
sorry. Right,
Joni's our own, right? So I need a little more Joni. Canada. A little more maybe on Joni because Alan has like a part B to the question, which is that he says Joni called him Zelig. Could he explain to Toronto Mike listeners why that was? And that's
Zelig. I think
Zelig. You're right. I know. You're up to this Woody Allen movie. Zelig.
Right. Joni calls me Zelig. Yeah. Well, because we used to go adventuring, that was kind of what we did more than working. I had this convertible Mustang and we would just drive around wherever, go to Mexican transvestite bars and go dancing or, we were just having fun, just driving around. The thing with her was that, really very few people actually understand what writing lyrics is, and so when you find somebody that really does, and you can actually talk about the niceties of it. It's really refreshing, And she was, she found me refreshing in that she had kind of writer's block, and my kind of devil-may-care attitude seemed to loosen her up a bit. So she started writing a record, and but yeah. So everywhere we went, some strange person would walk up to me and have a strange conversation with me. And sometimes refer to me by another name. And she was like, wow, that's crazy. And everywhere we go, there's some weird guy comes out of nowhere. Some woman, you're accosted by a prostitute who knows you too well or something. Not that I just have somebody I happen to
not that there's anything wrong with that.
Well, she was somebody I'd lived with, lived with in a rooming house. There was like 10 people. She had a whole different. We weren't really connected, but
that's called a commune.
Yeah, kind of. Well, it was a punk pals. It was a place called Skinhead Manor. It was during the punk rock era. But anyway,
So Joni, it's worth mentioning that I would dare to play this track because you would storm out and then my streak would be over. But Liberty Lies is on that Bedtime Stories, and she's on that track, Joni Mitchell.
Yeah.
Okay, and you were in, I believe you Return the Favor. You were on Night Ride Home.
Yeah, we were duetters together. Yes.
That's amazing. Like, give me a break. And Joni Mitchell, let's get her in the basement. Okay, we're working on Joni coming by here. Okay, so here, one last musical thing, and then we're going to talk about the novel. But I would be remiss if I didn't play a little of this and ask you about it. Don't worry, you don't have to hear your voice.
No, this is Adrian Veidt, I think. Right. What's his? Ewan McGregor.
Ewan McGregor and Nicole
Kidman.
Kidman.
Yes.
Never knew I could feel like this, like I've never seen the sky before. Want to vanish inside your kiss. Every day I love you more and more. Listen to my heart, can you hear it sing? Telling me to give you everything. Seasons may change. Winter.
We got to let Nicole get in there, and then I'll bring it down.
All right.
But I love you until the end of time. Come on, babe. Come on, babe. I will love you until my dying day.
See, this is where we should have brought Eddie Van Halen in.
Suddenly the world
Shout out to Ridley Funeral Home. All right, come what may, there's Nicole. I just want to make sure that people know it is actually a duet. It's not just Obi-Wan Kenobi over there. Okay, but how did you come to, compose this song for Moulin Rouge?
Well, actually, I composed it for Romeo and Juliet.
Another Baz Luhrmann movie.
Yes, it was his prior film. And what really was kind of a funny story. So it was a music supervisor I worked with a lot. Would you mind turning that down a little bit? Named Karen Rackman. And she was like, God, you're such a cynical bastard, And anyway, she kind of finagled us. She was an extremely manipulative person. And she said, I bet even if you tried, you couldn't write a timeless love song. And I was like, oh, yeah? Hold my beer.
Yeah. She double dog dared you.
She did. I've written a lot of songs like that, actually. Somebody says, hey, you get right about that. I was like, oh, yeah.
Oh, that's funny. By the way, I know you want a beer, but I'm just letting you know, you got some fresh craft beer right there for you from Great Lakes Brewery, David.
It's a little early for me, but thank you.
It's never too early for GLB. So let's let the listenership know that not only is this song nominated for a Golden Globe, as it's also it wins an International Film Music Award, which I'm going to pretend I know what that is and that it is extremely prestigious.
That's very European, yes. A lot of class attached.
Okay, did you get a trophy or something?
Yeah.
Okay, where is it right now? Is it on display somewhere?
I think it's in storage.
That disappoints me. Like, I often, here in Canada, we have these Juno Awards, and many a Juno Award recipient comes to the basement, and I always ask, where is your Juno right now? I get upset when I find out it's in like storage or in a box or something. You're not proud of this International Film Award?
I mean, sure, I guess. I don't know.
That's like being a narcissistic frontman, and you are a behind the scenes artist.
I was just never really cut out for the music business.
Okay, that's a good segue because you're now a novelist.
That's correct.
So would you mind sharing with me this story of like, how do you decide you're going to stop doing this thing you've been very successful at, composing music for decades, and you're going to write a novel? There's got to be a great story there. Take your time. I could shout out some sponsors if you want.
Are you actually curious about this? Because I could, basically, I stumbled across the story of a lifetime.
Well, tell me that story, because I know the story, right? There's the fire, and I want to hear the story from you because it's amazing.
Okay, so all right, so I lived in a house that was in one of these fire canyons. These winds fly down from the North Desert, bring all kinds of heat and dry And sooner or later, this place was going to burn. We'd already experienced several fires. And so I thought, well, it's probably time to let go of the place. And in the course of closing it up, I found these boxes in these storage units in our carports. And they were the contents of my grandfather's study when he died. And I learned that he was, I just learned, well, I mean, for one thing, I learned that he was an American spy, among other things, although he was a dual enemy alien in the United States. He was a German with a Japanese passport. But
how did you learn he might be a spy?
Well,
your grandfather,
because he was a dual enemy alien who made his way from Japan to the U.S. Not long before Pearl Harbor, and immediately began teaching at the American Spy School.
Wow. Well, there's some clues.
Yeah, and plus he knew all the advanced details of the firebombing of Tokyo 2 years before they happened. Yeah, 2 years.
Next, you're going to tell me
18 months.
You found a T-shirt he wore that said, "I'm a spy."
I did not find that. No, I found a spy camera, though, that kind of said that I'm a spy, and also a really deadly little dagger. So, yeah.
Okay, so you discover these things you didn't know about your grandfather, and this inspires you that you now can envision this, fictional universe about a man like your grandfather?
No, I became fascinated by the truth underlying the whole thing, and I was determined to find out what in the heck happened. And so I started digging, and I followed his life, and where he went, I researched, and the resulting book, it really, the fact that he just led such an extraordinary life made it kind of a lot easier.
How many years did it take you to write this novel?
8.
So how do you finance your lifestyle for 8 years? You're writing The Fire Agent.
I sold my music catalog.
Right there. That's a nugget right there. So you sold the rights to the music you owned to get a chunk of money that you could live off of while you write The Fire Agent.
That is correct.
I think that's a unique story that you would, I hope you got some left over, but that's like, I hope you got big bucks for it. I hope there's money left over, but this is how much you believed in this story, that you would say, okay, I'm going to cash out now because it's going to take me several years of you just writing. Like that's betting on yourself.
Well, at least I know the horse.
That's true. Okay. So I'm curious, what took so long? I guess I'm curious. What
took so long?
Well, yeah, because this is your job was to write this novel. Is it just the intense amount of research into learning everything you could? You mentioned the truth.
Yeah. The research took a lot of time, and also it wasn't the most efficient method that I wrote the book because, I didn't, I was investigating as I wrote, and writing as I investigated. So I was discovering stuff all the time, all through the writing of the book. I was continually stumbling across new information. So yeah.
And a theme in this book is the rise of fascism. Easy for me to say. And you're writing about in Germany and in Japan, but I think the timing is quite amazing that there may or may not be a rise of fascism in this world in 2026.
Well, yes, that did provide a bit of propulsive energy. Because this is something I've been writing about my anxieties about this kind of event for 30 plus years probably, and here it was happening, and people didn't really seem to notice, and sometimes if you look at your own culture through the lens of another, it's easier to see yourself without getting defensive. Right.
So what is it you hope? Because it's going to be available very, very soon. Next week?
Yeah,
next
Tuesday.
week. I'm checking out Scott there. He was too sick to see my Elma Combo debut, but I'm going to need a doctor's note from you, is what I'm telling you. He's giving me a thumbs up. I'll need a doctor's note. Okay. But The Fire Agent, what do you hope people learn from this novel, your debut novel?
Well, first I hope to have a good time reading it. But the things that they take away, somebody that reads the book will find out stuff about the world that I guarantee they don't know. And I left the book strewn with real names, so that people can, when they stumble across something and say that can't possibly be true, they can look it up and find out, yes, in fact, it is. But really, I would like people to come away with this book with an understanding, which is kind of what I came away with from the book, which is the understanding of the power of just being kind in the midst of the most horrific events you can imagine. As I don't know if you've read any of the book, but there are quite a few horrific events described. But to me, what I hope people take away from the book is a renewed faith in the power of kindness and the courage and determination to fight for kindness.
So there are these great quotes from people, one of whom, the son of a guy, so this is going to tie it in for the Toronto audience, but this quote, I'll read it quickly. A novel of inspiring humanity and heartbreaking fallibility, The Fire Agent is a scorching secret history of the 20th century that shines a spotlight on the echoes still reverberating to this day. That's Graham Yost, whose father, Elwee Yost, companion of mine on TV Ontario, and there's a GTA connection. That's a Canuck right there, Graham Yost.
Oh yeah, he's definitely a Canuck.
Crazy comedian. Yeah. What are your thoughts on Canada? Us crazy Canucks.
I love Canada. I don't think you're crazy in the slightest.
Okay, that's the ski team. So I have more questions for you, but I'm going to spend a moment to tell you that I'm not just giving you, David, fresh craft beer for your visit. Okay, so I'll do this very quickly because we don't have all the time in the world. And I'm going to go back and play all those solo jams you sang. So that'll be the
cool,
closing.
man.
But I want to tell everybody, Toronto Maple Leafs baseball happens at Christie Pitts, and it's free, no ticket required. What a great caliber of baseball. Grab a beer, grab a hot dog, and check it out. I have the history of Toronto Maple Leafs baseball for you and for Scott here. Copy each. Very interesting. And also I have in my freezer upstairs, I don't know if you can take it. I don't know if you even have a freezer wherever you're staying, but I do have a frozen lasagna from Palma Pasta. Delicious, authentic Italian food. I hope it doesn't remind you of being trapped in a phone booth.
That's a pretty specific feeling, being trapped in a phone booth.
I hope this lasagna doesn't bring it all back because it's pretty authentic. And last but not least, I say last but not least, but it's actually penultimate here. But I do have a measuring tape for you, David, from Ridley Funeral Home.
Well, thank you very much. This actually relates directly to something I was talking to you about, because this is very much like a Mona Lisa. Yeah.
Okay. You want me? Should I mic you up and you can explain that reference? No, he says no because he was too sick for my event, but he's here for David. That's what matters, right? Okay. Last but not least, this is the last but not least. If you have old electronics, old devices, old cables, don't throw them in the garbage. Those chemicals end up at our landfill. Go to recyclemyelectronics.ca, put in your postal code. This won't work for you. You're living in California still.
I'm in the Hudson Valley, New York.
New York. Okay. It won't work for you in New York. It's a Canada only thing, but go to recyclemyelectronics.ca, put in your postal code and find out where you can drop all of that off to be properly recycled. So you switch coasts. How long were you in California?
Oh my God. Well, since all through my early teens to, I went to college for a couple of years. But yeah, no, I was based in LA there was no way to live anywhere else but LA and do what I did. You got to be
near David Foster.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
I'm just shouting at all the Canadians. Okay. But you're now living in New York. So how has that adjustment been?
The weather's a little different. I needed to be in New York because I needed access to these specialty libraries that are all there. And except for the ones that are in DC, and it just wasn't a much easier way to.
But do you miss the West Coast? Like, is this a temporary thing, or are you going to stick around?
I don't know. I always was a pretty serious California boy, but I don't know. I really.
Well, I won't hold you to it. Like, it won't be a binding. I won't be. Hey, David, you promised me you would stick it out in New York. I heard you're back in LA.
I really haven't any plans.
No plans here. Okay, Alan has another question for you. David told me, and I'm not going to tell you who Alan is because he doesn't want me to use his last name, but Alan writes, David told me he far prefers his new life as a man of letters to his old one as simply a singer-songwriter par excellence. Is that supposed to be French? I was just in Montreal. I should know this. Okay. I hate asking this question, but he wants to know, what's your next book going to be about? You just spent 7 years or so to write this novel, which comes out next week, and Alan wants to know about the next one.
Well, Alan, you're going to have to plunk down some dough.
The fire, yeah, but listen, Alan, whoever you are, I know who you are. I might even tell David in private afterwards. Hold on. No, I wouldn't do that. And then he wants you to ask, did you have an encounter with Michael Cohen?
Yeah, as a matter of fact.
Can you share that story?
Surreal. Yeah, it was July 4th, 2018. I remember the exact date. A friend of mine was visiting from LA, and she was staying at a hotel on Park Avenue. And we were going to go have dinner, so I went and picked her up, and we were kind of wandering around the neighborhood waiting for our dinner reservation. And everywhere we went, she was like, oh, hey, there's Michael Cohen. You know, like we're in the stationery store. It's like, oh, there's Michael Cohen. There, you know, we go to the bar. Oh, there's Michael Cohen. And we finally saw him the third time, and she said, there's Michael Cohen again. That means we should go talk to him. And so, you know, this was right before he decided whether he was going to flip on Trump. And my mother's a clinical psychologist, and she deals a lot with trauma patients. And so she was a clinical hypnotist, among other things. And so I learned some things about hypnosis. And I thought, well, I'm going to try to hypnotize this son of a bitch. So I approached him very gently, and I said, you know, and you know, it was me, and I was in a nice suit, you know, and Hillary's a very beautiful woman, and you know, we didn't look very threatening, and I said, you know, I don't want to disturb you, but I imagine you must feel as though you were in a giant washing machine. You're being spun around, and you don't know which direction you're going. And he said, that's exactly right. And I said, and I just kind of started saying, well, and you know, I can't remember exactly what I said, but it was very, you know, this is really a good time for you to come to grips with the truth in your life. And he goes, there's three things in the world that you can't hide: the sun, the moon, and the truth. And I said, that's right, you can't hide it. And he said, the truth will set me free. And I said, yes, after a time.
Honestly,
we stood there for like 5 minutes talking like this, and we went and wrote it all down. You know, we were like, I can't believe that just happened. And so we went, wrote the whole thing down. So I put it on my Facebook, and she did too. And it was just like, hey, only in New York, you know.
Only in New York. That's a great story. By the way, while you were telling it, I felt like I was being hypnotized, like he was working on me.
Oh, well, you know.
So that whole, you know, your mom being a psychologist, your dad being a political scientist, that's sort of the perfect storm to create a novelist who would write something like the Fire Agent, and I hope it's hugely successful.
Well, I do too. And thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
And thanks for not storming out of here when I played those solo songs.
Storming out is the least of your worries.
Okay, well, you know what?
Just kidding.
I know. You're gonna have to, and you know, your henchman here is gonna make sure you take the photo with me by Toronto Trees, so you can't escape till we do that. But I loved it. You know, David and David reunion imminent, right?
Oh yeah, any day now.
He hates your fucking guts, but
well,
you know what?
I think he's gotten over that. But you know, what are we gonna do?
What are you gonna do? But you know, the nostalgia tours, you could probably do pretty well, David and David.
Oh yeah,
stylize it right, okay?
That sounds very enticing.
And that, Scott, I got T-shirts made that said "and that." This is a thing I'm gonna at the next TMLX event. Oh, quickly, I need to shout that out actually. So, TMLX 22, which is a free event, unlike my Elmo gig. But you bought the ticket, right? Oh, so, okay, that's okay you weren't there. We got the money, okay. But the TMLX 22 is a free event on June 25. That's a Thursday. It'll be a Thursday from 6 to 9 p.m. at Great Lakes Brewery at 30 Queen Elizabeth Boulevard, down the street from the Costco in South Etobicoke. Everybody's invited, even you. Even you.
I can't wait.
And that, I believe him. He's going to stick around for that.
That was pretty convincing, eh?
You should have been an actor, novelist, singer-songwriter, actor.
Yeah. I mean,
It's not too late.
okay, I'll look into that.
And that brings us to the end of our 1907th show. Go to torontomike.com for all your Toronto Mike needs, and much love to all who made this possible. Again, that is Great Lakes Brewery, Palma Pasta, Toronto Maple Leafs Baseball, Nick Iones. His podcasts are called Building Toronto Skyline and Mike and Nick. We get a new recording next Friday. RecycleMyElectronics.ca will not work in New York, but it'll work in Canada. And Ridley Funeral Home. Heather Rankin is his guest coming up on Life's Undertaking. See you all next week. Oh, Monday, Kevin Newman. Newsman Kevin Newman comes in to tell all. Don't you dare miss it.